I apologize for my absence. As you could tell by my voice, I've been kinda sick. Now with all that out of the way, we can move on. This being a Tamiya kit, it did not need a whole lot of prep work. All I really had to do was clean off the mold gates from the screws. There was almost no flash on this kit. Or maybe, being that it's an older kit, I've already cleaned it up. I don't really remember. Now if you look real close, right there, if you follow the light beam, it distorts. We got a sink mark right there. We also got just a little bit of warpage. I'm willing to bet once we get the glass installed, it makes that more rigid, it'll straighten itself out. Now the tops of the door frames are the same way. It's got this little headliner thing molded into it. So surrounding that whole piece is a sink mark. And both doors have it. Yeah. You guys know how I like to fill sink marks. Just a little bitty dab of super glue. Sand it till it's smooth. Keep adding, keep sanding. Eventually it'll be a solid piece of glass looking like this. Now with all the plastic cleaned up, all the prep work done, I'm gonna wipe off all the dust, any hair, anything. We're gonna get ready for some primer. And of course, I'm using my surplus of Tamiya Rattle Can White Primer. 2 coats of it to be exact. Now this is something I don't always show a lot of, between the primer and the actual base coat. Now the smoothness of your clear coat, your base coat, it all relies on how smooth your primer is. No matter how good you are at spraying, you're going to get oversprayed. So I like to always smooth out my primer coat too. And I don't really know how smooth this is. Judging from experience, I'm guessing it's something like 3000 grit. It does not have to be mirror polish smooth, because the paint still needs something to bite into. I just like to add a little bit of sheen to it when the light hits it. That's just right. Now I did this on the FXX as well, so I'm kind of surprised I did it again. I forgot about these little vents. Now since I'm going to be doing a whole lot of aftermarket photo etch, I don't really need these molded in screens, so I'm just going to cut them out real quick. And my flush cutters made quick work of it. Now this tool really just kind of pinches things off till it snaps off. It's never really a clean cut, so it requires a bit of cleanup. Now that molded in grill, it also acts as a means of locating this when you glue it in. So just do your best. All you really need is them to be flush and 90 degrees with each other. That's it. It's actually pretty easy. you guys don't be by now, I'm going to be using some splash paints. And of course, because every Ferrari has to be red. I don't care what anyone tells you. Every Ferrari has to be red. I still don't have my extraction fan hooked up yet, so I've just been using some damp paper towels. It's doing a very decent job of keeping dust down, guys. A lot more effective than I thought it'd be. Now this stuff works very well with the white primer. It only requires 2 coats to get a perfect and even coverage. Now I probably should have done this part before the actual base coat because I peeled a bit of paint off with it, but I don't know. I just didn't do it for whatever reason. For those of you that don't know, I'm making some templates for the carbon fiber decals. I've done this in other videos, multiple YouTubers have done it. There's tutorials out there. I'm not going to go into big detail with it or do a whole lot of me applying the decals. As you think, I only recorded 3 segments. Other than that, I just played some creepypastas on my phone, put my head down, and powered through applying all these decals. Now part of why this video took so long to get out is, as you can see in the background there, I built myself a little shelf to display all my models. I didn't take any measurements, so got a lot of empty space there. Another thing that had taken so long, I had also ordered some new decals. The big thing about this is that it's non-directional, so I didn't have to worry about lining up the weaves or any of that annoying nonsense. If you look at the pattern, and I don't know what you're watching on, so I don't even know if you guys could even see this. It's a very distinct pattern. It's almost used exclusively for the Enzo. I also ran out of paint thinner. Now, I knew I was running low. I didn't run out and buy any because I wanted a reason to try some of this stuff. So waiting on that stuff to show up at my front door took a little bit of time as well. Now being that it's new, I had to do a little bit of experimentation. I wanted to see how well it worked with the Splash Paints 2K Clear, and I wanted to see if it was hot enough to destroy carbon fiber decals, or any decals for that matter. Now as you can see, it lays out extremely smooth. And I will admit, I did not clean out my paintbrush. As you can see by the little red halo around that, I just sprayed it till it was empty, then dumped in the clear. But it smooths so well that I can't even feel that transition between the decal. My fingernail is not catching on anything at all. Now, one thing though that does have me a bit concerned, other than all the dust that fell in there, don't worry about that. It's not very hard. If I take my fingernail and dig right into it, it leaves a noticeable mark. Now the thing with 2K clear is that it is extremely hard. That's why it polishes out so well. So as I had mentioned, I did not clean out my airbrush between any of this. It was probably time. Ew. On to the clear though. I did my same mix that I always do, 3 to 1 to 1. It's 3 parts clear, 1 part hardener, and 1 part thinner. And I will do 3 coats and progressively add more and more thinner for every coat. Now, by the final coat, I never really pay attention and I've never been good at math, but it's something like 75% thinner, 25% clear and hardener. Now, some of you with a keen eye may also notice that other than the carbon fiber decals, I don't have any of the Ferrari badging. I've voiced my disdain of Tamiya decals ever since I started my channel, maybe longer on Instagram. I don't know. I've never gotten along with Tamiya decals. If they're older than a month, as soon as you put them in water, they just crinkle up or they just fall apart and disintegrate. And of course, these were no different. Now I have something on order from Australia, so it's probably going to take 2 years to get here. But I'm hoping it's going to solve some problems. Now if and when it gets here, I will share it with you. But until then, I'm not going to ruin any surprises. So by the time the clear is done, I'll set it aside for a few days, give it time to thoroughly dry. And this is what I had. Now straight out of the airbrush, I could not be happier with how well this laid out. Problem is, we got some contaminants. My little nook down here in the basement is directly under the kitchen. Now that place sees a whole lot of traffic. That's how I get to the garage. It's how I let my dog out to the backyard. It's where I mix up my drinks. And that's where my wife cooks all her amazing food for me. So I'm thinking every time we take a step, dust falls off the ceiling and gets in my beautifully laid out clear coat. So I will have to figure out something to keep all this safe while all the paint is drying. Now Paul, over at the International Scale Modeler, he puts all his in a Tupperware. I might try that. Now, enough of my ranting. Every single piece here has a piece of dust in it, contaminant, something. So I have a whole lot of sanding and polishing in my future. Now, I did not take a whole lot of photos while I was working on this, so there's not a lot of still shots to show off here. My apologies. That is the end though. Thank you so much for just sticking by and waiting for that month or 2 months. How long has it been since I did the unboxing?